Come one, come all. It's story time with an alchemist. The great work begins now. In the beautiful, wonderful, and mysterious land of China, during the 6th dynasty of Shen, I'm just making that up, there was an emperor. The emperor was on his deathbed. He called to his son, and he said, "My son, it is time for you to take on the mantle of emperor of all of China. Do not depart from the wisdom that I have given you. Do not depart from the wisdom of my prime minister. But as you take on the mantle of emperor of China, rule firm, rule fair. Rule with a kind heart and a heavy hand. Rule as I have ruled." So upon the next day, the great emperor passed into the great beyond. And at his coronation, the first thing that the new emperor does, he fires his father's prime minister. He says that China will now be under a new rule. And under this new rule, I would bring in my new prime minister, my friend, my longtime companions from childhood, and he will be the prime minister. So they go back into chambers. And in the chambers, the young new emperor says to his prime minister, "Prime minister, your responsibility will be to govern the people with a firm hand, to ensure that all the duties and all the punishments are carried out throughout the land of China. When a wrong has been done, you will issue out the punishments. But for me as the new emperor, because I want the people to love me, I will give out all the rewards. I will honor all the guests. I will honor all the people who have done wonderful things. I will ensure the tranquility of all the people by ensuring that I give out all that is happiness to the people. So you will rule with a firm hand, and I will rule with a kind heart." So this is the setup. And as they go through year after year after year, the prime minister issues out edicts and gives out punishment, while the emperor continues to lavish people and reward people and give them great things in honor. So after a time, the young ruler, he's looking at the prime minister. The prime minister, he tells people, "I want the new road built," and the new roads get built. The people should all have to pay their taxes at an appointed time, and they pay their taxes. The generals, the troops need to be trained a lot harder and prepared to war against our enemies, and the troops are trained harder. While the emperor, "I want the lavish banquet." And those who are supposed to listen to the emperor, they may get it done, they may not. But when they don't get it done, and the prime minister walks in, it gets done. "I want all the people of China to come together in a great celebration of the Year of the Dragon." The celebration goes off lackluster, missing out on many of the wonderful things that could have been accomplished. The next year, the prime minister is in charge and bringing in the Year of the Tiger, and everything goes according to plan. So after careful consideration, the emperor brings the prime minister back into his chambers and said, "Prime minister, it has been a long time that you have been giving out the orders and doing the punishments." "Yes, sire. I believe that it is time now for us to switch. For I realize that the people, when you tell them to do something, it gets done. But me as the emperor, when I tell people to do something, it does not get done. Sometimes it gets done, most of the time it does not. This cannot be. I am the emperor. And as the emperor, my rules should be followed." "Yes, Prime Minister, this is true. You are the emperor, and people should follow your rule. What is it that you would like? Because I am but your humble servant." "Well, I will now begin to give out all the punishments, and you will give out all the rewards. So shall it be, sire." So over the next year, the emperor begins to dole out punishment after punishment, to give people their convictions for crimes, to dismiss generals for not following his orders or for making mistakes, for losing battles. The emperor starts to levy taxes and give out the punishments for people who don't pay taxes and take people land and split up families. He was doing all the work the prime minister was doing. Now the prime minister was giving out awards. That people were coming for banquets and the prime minister will entertain them and ensure that everything is done correctly as people would be able to enjoy them. So after a while, a year goes by, 2 years, and the people are in uproar. The people are in dismay with this new emperor, this new harsh and cruel and ruthless emperor. And we as the people will not stand for this emperor who is now cruel and rules with an iron fist. We will rise up and we will take over and we will disband this emperor and kill him and hang him up on the walls. And so the people riot. And in their rioting, they overcome the emperor's army. And the emperor's army lets them because the army is dissatisfied as well. And the emperor is disposed. And as the emperor is disposed, hanging from the walls, the people, they say, we now need a new emperor. We now need a just emperor. We need an emperor who can maintain the sovereignty of this great nation. We need an emperor who can maintain the joy and peace and happiness of this nation. And the people all began to clamor and the people began to speak. Well, you know who has become very just in heart and that we all respect in authority? We respect and know the just of the heart of the prime minister. And so the next day, a coronation occurred, coronating the prime minister, who is now emperor, and a new dynasty begins. This has been story time with an emperor, with an alchemist. The moral to this story, there is two. This story first tells you that the wisdom of those who have led well in the past, that we should follow that wisdom. And that we should look to their example to see exactly how we should lead our people and conduct ourselves when we come into a position of power. That those leaders entrusted certain people to guide them through their ascension and maintaining their kingdom. And as we go into different businesses, as we have families, then we should look to those who have had great experience in obtaining leadership, in obtaining the peace and tranquility of a family, of a business, of a job, of a government, of anything that it is that we're involved in and placed into a position of leadership. We should look to those who have come before us as a place of learning and not think that we already know, as youth oftentimes does. Second and main moral to this story is this. When you do come into a position of leadership, it is not for you to come into the leadership being everyone's friend, trying to make everyone happy. The moment you try to be everyone's friend, the moment you try to be make everyone happy, and then you realize that they're not getting the work done, that what you measure is not being done because you are too friendly, you are too kind, you begin to then try to get hard. You then try to enact rules and punishment and conduct. And when you do, the people feel that you have now changed, that you are now against them. They cannot respect you for trying to do things in a way of sternness now that you have come from being soft to stern. But if you start out with your expectations, if you start out where the bar is here, and then as you develop and learn your people, begin to realize where you can relax. Begin to realize where you can allow people to make mistakes and not punish them so harshly. Because when you maintain your bar here when you first walk in, then the people will respect you because they understand that what is measured must be accomplished. Otherwise, they know that there is a penalty to pay, so that once you get into a groove of understanding one another and you give them extra wiggle room, they then will understand that I must get it done. I will get it done. I'm appreciative of the wiggle room that you have given me. I'm appreciative of the grace that you allow me. That is the story of the young emperor. The young emperor and the prime minister is the fact that you start out hard and then you soften as you go. It is a mark of true leadership. It is a story that was told by Sun Tzu. It was a story that was told by many other ancient Chinese wisdom, as well as in Indian wisdom. It is a story that was taught to me as a Marine. And it is a story that I have taught my children and taught many others as I have trained people to be in authority. I've trained those to become leaders, as I have trained other Marines, and as I have trained corporate people to be leaders, as I train family members to be leaders within themselves and their family. It is a common foundational story that has been expressed. So, come into a relationship, come into a business, come into a position of power with your standard and expect others to uphold your standard and ensure that the work is done to that standard. If not, be fair in your punishment, but punish. And once the people understand the requirement, then begin to give grace, because then their mistakes will be true mistakes and not just ignoring your authority. So y'all have a great day. This has been Storytime with an Alchemist.